The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and vanilla, Mom's specialty coffee cake baking in the oven, the same recipe she made every time I came home. I stood in the doorway of our family house, dragging my suitcase behind me, trying to shake off 3 years of college and the exhaustion of a 6-hour drive. Ethan, you're finally here. Mom rushed toward me, flour dusting her apron, her arms open wide. I dropped my bag and let her embrace swallow me whole. Behind her, near the kitchen island, I caught a glimpse of someone I hadn't expected to see. Lucas. My stepbrother stood with his back against the counter, a coffee mug cradled in his hands. He'd changed. 3 years ago, when I'd left for college, he'd been lean and boyish, still growing into himself. Now at 24, he'd filled out, broader shoulders, stronger jawline, dark hair slightly longer and tousled in a way that looked effortlessly perfect. His gray eyes met mine over Mom's shoulder, and something flickered there before he looked away. "Hey, little brother," he said, though his voice had deepened, lost some of its teasing edge. "Hey yourself," I replied, pulling away from Mom. "Didn't know you'd be here." "Last-minute decision," Lucas set his mug down. "Work gave me the week off, figured I'd surprise everyone." Mom beamed between us. "Isn't it wonderful? Both my boys home at the same time. David will be thrilled when he gets back from the hardware store." David, Lucas's father, my stepdad. He'd married Mom when I was 15 and Lucas was 17. We'd been thrust into siblinghood awkwardly, two teenage boys suddenly expected to share space and family dinners. We'd managed civil tolerance that slowly morphed into genuine friendship, especially after Lucas left for college himself. But there had always been something else. Something neither of us acknowledged. "I should get unpacked," I said, suddenly needing distance from Lucas's steady gaze. "Your room's ready," Mom said. "Same as you left it. Lucas, honey, help your brother with his bags." "I've got it," I started, but Lucas was already picking up my duffel. "Come on, Ethan, I'll help." I grabbed my suitcase and followed him up the stairs, watching the way his shoulders moved under his fitted black t-shirt. In my old room, he set the duffel on my bed, my childhood bed with its blue plaid comforter, suddenly feeling too small, too intimate with both of us standing there. "So," Lucas said, hands in his pockets, 3 years. "Yeah, you look different." "So do you." His eyes traveled over me, quick but thorough, and I felt heat creep up my neck. "College treated you well." I'd filled out too, spent time in the gym between classes and studying. My sandy hair was longer than I usually kept it, curling slightly at my collar. But under Lucas's gaze, I felt exposed, like he could see through the confident exterior to the confused 21-year-old who'd spent 3 years trying not to think about his stepbrother. "How's the architecture firm?" I asked, needing to fill the silence. "Good, demanding. I'm working on a hospital renovation downtown." He leaned against my desk. "What about you? Still planning to go to grad school?" "Applying this fall, creative writing program." "Following the dream." Something soft entered his expression. "I always knew you would." The words hung between us, weighted with memory. Lucas had been the first person I'd told about wanting to be a writer, late one night when we were both home from our respective colleges, sitting in this very room, passing a bottle of cheap whiskey back and forth. He'd listened to all my fears and doubts and told me I'd be crazy not to try. "Lucas, I should let you unpack." He pushed off the desk, moved toward the door but paused in the threshold. "It's good to see you, Ethan, really good." Then he was gone, and I was alone with my suitcase and the ghost of whatever had almost been said. Dinner that night was comfortable chaos. Mom's pot roast, David's terrible jokes, all of us gathered around the table like we hadn't spent years scattered across the state. But I couldn't stop noticing Lucas across from me, the way he laughed at David's puns, how his foot accidentally brushed mine under the table and lingered a moment too long before pulling away. "So, Ethan," David said, "what are your plans for the summer, besides avoiding job applications?" "Hey, I have plans." I stabbed a piece of carrot. "I'm going to finish my novel manuscript for one thing." "Still working on that story?" Lucas asked. "The one about the lighthouse keeper?" I was surprised he remembered. "Yeah, almost done actually. I'd love to read it sometime." Mom clapped her hands together. "Oh, that reminds me, Lucas, didn't you say you needed someone to help with that coffee shop project?" Lucas shot her a look. "Mom, I'm just saying, Ethan's here all summer. You're working on that redesign for the cafe downtown. Could be good for both of you." "What cafe project?" I asked. Lucas sighed. The Brew Haven is renovating. I'm doing the design work, but the owner wanted someone to help conceptualize the vibe, write menu descriptions, that sort of thing, marketing copy, but Ethan's busy. I'm not that busy, I interrupted. I could help if you want. Our eyes met again, and this time neither of us looked away quickly. There was a question in his gaze, maybe a warning. Sure, he said finally, we could start tomorrow if you want. I'm heading there in the morning to take measurements. Tomorrow works. Under the table, his foot touched mine again. This time I was certain it wasn't an accident. The Brew Haven sat on the corner of Maple and 3rd, a cozy brick building with ivy climbing the walls and wide windows that caught the morning light. I arrived at 9 to find Lucas already there, standing on the sidewalk with a clipboard, his hair slightly damp from a shower. You're early, he said, but he was smiling. So are you. He unlocked the door and we stepped into the empty cafe. Chairs were stacked on tables, construction dust coating every surface, but I could see the bones of something beautiful: exposed brick, high ceilings, a long wooden bar where the espresso machines would go. The owner wants to keep the vintage feel but modernize the space, Lucas explained, pulling out his measuring tape. More natural light, better flow, maybe a reading nook in that corner. A reading nook, I looked where he pointed. That's perfect. I thought you'd like that. He handed me a notebook. Why don't you walk around, get a feel for the place, jot down any ideas? I need to get these measurements done. For the next hour, we worked in comfortable silence. I wandered the space, imagining it filled with people and laughter and the hiss of steaming milk, while Lucas moved methodically through his tasks, occasionally calling out a measurement that I'd write down for him. Ethan, can you hold this end? He was stretching the tape measure across the back wall. I took the metal end, holding it against the brick while Lucas walked backward, reading the measurement. We were close enough that I could smell his cologne, something woody and clean. 12 feet 4 inches, he murmured, writing it down, but he didn't move away. Lucas, I started, not sure what I was going to say. He looked up at me, something intense in his gray eyes. Yeah. Why did you really come home this week? The question surprised both of us. Lucas's jaw tightened slightly, and for a moment I thought he wouldn't answer. Then he set down his clipboard and leaned against the brick wall. Honestly, I heard you were coming home and he ran a hand through his hair. I couldn't stay away. My heart was suddenly hammering. What do you mean? Come on, Ethan, don't make me say it. Say what? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You really don't know, you really never noticed. I stepped closer. Noticed what? That I've been half in love with you since we were teenagers. The world tilted. Lucas pushed off the wall, packing now, words spilling out like he'd been holding them back for years. I know it's fucked up, okay? You're my stepbrother, but we're not actually related and I can't. I've tried, Ethan, I've tried to get over it. I dated other people, threw myself into work, moved across town so I wouldn't run into you when you came home for holidays. But then Mom said you'd be here for the whole summer and I had to see you, even if it kills me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Could only feel the weight of his confession settling into my bones, into spaces I hadn't known were empty. You should say something, Lucas said quietly, even if it's just telling me I'm crazy. You're not crazy. He looked at me sharply. What? I said you're not crazy. I moved closer, my hands shaking. Lucas, I've spent 3 years trying not to think about you, trying to convince myself that what I felt was wrong or just confused or I don't know, but I'd come home for Christmas and see you for 5 minutes and it would all come rushing back. Ethan, do you remember that night? Senior year, your graduation party, we ended up on the back porch together. His eyes darkened. I remember. You almost kissed me, we were so close, and then someone called your name and the moment ended. But I've thought about that night 1,000 times, wondered what would have happened if we hadn't been interrupted. We can't, Lucas said, but he was moving toward me even as he said it. It's too complicated, our parents are happy and living their own lives. I reached for his hand, our fingers tangling together. We're adults, Lucas, we're not doing anything wrong. Aren't we? I don't know, I admitted, but I'm tired of running from this, from you. Lucas's free hand came up to cup my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone. We were so close now, his breath warm against my lips. If we do this, he whispered, there's no going back. I don't want to go back. He kissed me. It was soft at first, tentative, like we were both afraid the other would pull away. But then I made a small sound in the back of my throat and Lucas deepened the kiss, his hand sliding into my hair, pulling me closer. I gripped his shirt, tasting coffee and mint and something that was purely him, and it felt like coming home and jumping off a cliff all at once. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lucas rested his forehead against mine. Holy shit, he breathed. Yeah. I've wanted to do that for 7 years. I laughed, giddy and terrified. Was it worth the wait? Ethan, he kissed me again, quick and fierce. It was worth everything. We agreed to keep it quiet. Not forever, we weren't ashamed, but we needed time to figure out what this was, what we were to each other, before involving our parents. The summer stretched ahead of us, full of possibility and danger in equal measure. The coffee shop became our sanctuary. We'd meet there most mornings, ostensibly to work on the renovation project, but really to steal moments together. Lucas would kiss me against the exposed brick, or I'd pull him into what would eventually be the supply closet, both of us breathless and laughing and drunk on each other. We're terrible at this, I said one afternoon, my back against the bar, Lucas's arms caged around me. At what? Keeping secrets, he kissed my neck, or renovating coffee shops? Both. I tilted my head to give him better access. We haven't gotten any actual work done in days. Not true, I finished the floor plan yesterday. While I was watching. You're very distracting. His lips moved to my jaw, sitting there in those jeans, biting your pen, looking all thoughtful and cute. Cute, I pushed at his chest, but I was smiling. I'm going for brooding artist. You're failing miserably. I kissed him to shut him up, and for a while we forgot about work entirely, lost in each other until Lucas's phone alarm went off, his reminder that we needed to leave separately so we wouldn't return home together. The sneaking around was exhilarating and exhausting. At home, we maintained careful distance, barely touching, keeping our conversations casual. But sometimes, late at night, Lucas would slip into my room and we'd lie together in my too-small bed, talking in whispers about everything and nothing. Tell me something you've never told anyone, I said one night, my head on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Lucas was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on my shoulder. When you left for college, I cried, locked myself in my room and just cried. David thought I was upset about a breakup. He gave me this whole speech about fish in the sea. My chest ached. Lucas. I knew then that it was more than just a crush. But you were 17 and I was 19 and it felt wrong to want you the way I did, so I buried it, tried to anyway. I lifted my head to look at him. I used to write about you, in my journal, changed the names, altered the details, but every story was really about this guy I couldn't have. My creative writing professor told me I had a gift for unrequited longing. Lucas laughed softly. Does he know it's not unrequited anymore? No one knows except us. Are you okay with that, the hiding? I considered it, was I? There was something thrilling about the secrecy, but also something hollow, like we were doing something shameful when really we were just two people falling in love. For now, I said, but Lucas eventually. I know, we'll tell them, just let me have you to myself a little longer first. He kissed me then, slow and deep, and I let the worry fade away. As June melted into July, we grew bolder. Day trips to the lake where no one knew us. Lucas's hand in mine as we walked along the shore. Late night drives with the windows down, singing badly to the radio, stealing kisses at red lights. A camping trip we told our parents was a bonding. It wasn't entirely a lie, even if the bonding looked different than they imagined. I'm going to tell them soon, Lucas said one evening. We were in his apartment across town, tangled together on his couch. He'd invited me over for dinner and we'd barely touched the food. I can't keep lying to my dad. I know, I feel the same way about Mom, I played with his fingers. How do you think they'll react? Honestly, I don't know, they might be shocked, might be upset, but Ethan, he tilted my chin up so I had to meet his eyes. I don't care, whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. Together, I echoed, and it felt like a promise. We should have known we couldn't keep it hidden forever. It was a Thursday afternoon and we'd gotten careless. The coffee shop renovation was nearly complete, the space transformed into something beautiful and warm. Lucas and I were admiring his work, standing close, his hand on the small of my back when the door opened. Lucas, I brought those paint samples you owe. David stood in the doorway, his face cycling through confusion, realization, and something I couldn't quite name. In my peripheral vision, I saw Lucas straighten, his hand falling away from my back, but the damage was done. Dad, Lucas said, this isn't. How long? David's voice was quiet, controlled. Dad, let me explain. How long? Lucas's jaw tightened. A few weeks since Ethan came home. David looked at me and I wanted to disappear. Does your mother know? No, sir, I managed. We were going to tell you both soon, we just what? Thought you'd sneak around behind our backs indefinitely. It's not like that, Lucas said, his voice rising. We're adults, we're not doing anything wrong. You're brothers. We're not. Lucas moved to stand beside me. We're not blood-related, we're two adult men who happen to have parents who got married, that's it. That's it, David laughed, but there was no humor in it. Lucas, you grew up together, Ethan looked up to you, and you decided to take advantage of that. Take advantage? I stepped forward, angry now. David, that's not fair. Lucas, never. This is mutual. I want this. You're 21 years old, you don't know what you want. Don't talk to him like that, Lucas snapped. And don't act like I manipulated him. Ethan is perfectly capable of making his own decisions. David pressed his fingers to his temples. I need to think. Just stay away from each other for now, please. He left without another word. Lucas punched the wall, making me jump. Fuck. Hey, I took his hand, checking for damage. It's okay. It's not okay, Ethan. Did you see how he looked at us, at me? His eyes were bright with tears he refused to shed, like I'm some kind of predator. He's in shock, he'll come around. Will he? Lucas pulled away, packing. Maybe he's right, maybe this is fucked up. Don't, I grabbed his arm, forcing him to look at me. Don't let his reaction make you doubt this, doubt us. Us, he repeated. Is there even an us if we have to hide if everyone thinks it's wrong? Yes, I kissed him, desperate to make him believe it. Yes, Lucas, there's us, and we're real and we're good and I love you. The words fell out before I could stop them. Lucas froze. What? My heart was hammering, but I didn't take it back. I love you. I should have said it sooner, but I was scared and He kissed me hard and fierce, his hands cupping my face. I love you too, God, Ethan, I love you so much. We held each other in the empty cafe, the future uncertain but the present perfectly clear. Whatever happened, we had this. We had each other. That night, Mom was waiting when I got home. She sat at the kitchen table, the same table where this had all started, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. David called me, she said quietly. He's upset, Ethan, what's going on? I sat across from her, my hands shaking. Mom, I need to tell you something and I need you to listen without interrupting. Can you do that? She nodded, her face pale. So I told her everything. The years of confused feelings, the kiss at the coffee shop, the summer of stolen moments and secret love. I told her about Lucas, about how he made me feel seen and understood and whole in a way I'd never experienced before. I told her I was sorry for lying, but I wasn't sorry for loving him. When I finished, Mom was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. Please say something, I whispered. I need time to process this. She wiped her eyes. You're my son and I love you, nothing will ever change that, but Lucas is David's son and this affects all of us. I don't know how to reconcile those things. We're not asking you to choose sides. Aren't you? She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Because it feels like that's exactly what you're asking. The next 2 weeks were hell. David stopped speaking to Lucas beyond one-word answers. Mom tried to act normal but couldn't quite hide her discomfort. Lucas and I weren't forbidden from seeing each other, we were adults after all, but the tension in the house was suffocating. Maybe we should cool things off, Lucas said one night. We were in his apartment again, having fled the oppressive atmosphere at home. Just for a while, let them adjust. Cool things off, I stared at him. Lucas, do you even hear yourself? I'm trying to fix this. By giving up on us. By giving them space? He was packing again, agitated. Ethan, my dad hasn't looked at me in days. Your mom can barely be in the same room with me if we just step back. Then what? They'll magically be okay with it? I stood up. Lucas, they're either going to accept us or they're not. Us hiding won't change that. I can't lose my dad, his voice cracked, he's all I have. What about me? The words came out smaller than I intended. Don't you have me? Lucas's face crumpled. Of course I do, Ethan, you know I. Do I? Because it sounds like you're willing to give up on us to make him happy. That's not fair. None of this is fair, I was shouting now, 3 weeks of fear and frustration boiling over. You told me you loved me, you said we'd figure it out together, but at the first sign of trouble you want to quit. I'm not quitting, I'm trying to be realistic. No, you're trying to be safe, and I get it, Lucas, I really do, but I can't be with someone who's always going to choose everyone else over me. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucas looked at me like I'd slapped him. Is that really what you think, that I don't choose you? I think you're scared, and so am I. But I'm willing to fight for this, I need to know you are too. Lucas crossed the room, taking my face in his hands. I'm terrified, Ethan, terrified of losing you, terrified of losing my family, but you're right, I can't have both if one comes at the expense of the other. So what are we doing? We're fighting, he said firmly, together like we promised. He kissed me and I kissed him back, pouring 3 weeks of fear and longing and love into it. When we broke apart, Lucas pulled out his phone. What are you doing? Calling my dad, asking him and your mom to meet us. Tomorrow, it's time we all talked. They came to Lucas's apartment the next evening, stiff and uncomfortable on his couch while Lucas and I sat across from them. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might burst. Thank you for coming, Lucas began. I know this is hard and uncomfortable, but we need to talk about this, really talk. David's jaw was tight. What is there to say? You've made your choice. Yes, we have. Lucas took my hand, lacing our fingers together, and we're asking you to respect that choice even if you don't understand it. How can we? Mom's voice wavered. You were raised as brothers. But we're not brothers, I interrupted gently. I know that legally we're family, but Mom, I've never seen Lucas that way, not once in all these years. That doesn't make it right, David said. Why not? Lucas leaned forward. Because of what people might think, because it's unconventional. Dad, you and Maria got together less than a year after your divorce and her separation. People talked, people judged. You told me love was worth fighting for even when it's messy. That was different. How is it different? David was silent. I know this isn't what you imagined, I said quietly. And I know it changes things, but Lucas and I were not doing this to hurt you. We're doing this because we love each other, because we've tried not to and it didn't work. Mom was crying again. I just don't want you to get hurt, Ethan, either of you. The world can be cruel. I know, I said, but I'd rather face a cruel world with Lucas than a kind one without him. Lucas squeezed my hand. David stood abruptly, and for a moment I thought he was going to leave. Instead, he walked to the window, staring out at the street below. I've been trying to understand, he said finally, trying to see what you see, but all I can think about are Christmases and birthdays and family dinners and how this changes everything. It doesn't have to, Lucas said, we're still the same people. Are you? David turned to look at us. Because from where I'm standing I don't know who you are anymore. The words hit like a physical blow. I felt Lucas flinch beside me. Dad, Lucas started, but David held up a hand. I need time, I'm sorry, but I can't just, he looked at Mom, I need to go. He left. Mom lingered a moment longer, her gaze moving between Lucas and me. I love you both, she said softly. I need you to know that, even if I don't know how to process this yet, you're still my sons. Then she followed David out, and we were alone again. August arrived with unbearable heat and a silence from our parents that felt equally oppressive. Lucas threw himself into work, taking extra projects, staying at the office late. I finished my manuscript but couldn't bring myself to celebrate. The joy had leaked out of everything. We should go away, I said one night, lying in his bed, both of us unable to sleep. Just for a few days, get out of town. Where would we go? Anywhere, the coast, the mountains, somewhere we can just be. Lucas rolled to face me, his eyes tired. Would that fix anything? No, but it might help us remember why we're doing this. So we went Told our parents we'd be gone for a week, packed Lucas's car, and drove north to a cabin I found online, isolated, rustic, overlooking a lake that reflected the sky like liquid glass. For 3 days, we didn't talk about our families or the mess waiting for us at home. We hiked and swam and stayed up late watching stars. We cooked terrible meals together and played cards and made love like we were the only two people in the world. On the fourth morning, I woke to find Lucas on the deck, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. Couldn't sleep, I asked, wrapping a blanket around us both. Too much thinking. About. He was quiet for a long moment. My mom died when I was 10, did I ever tell you that? No, I said softly. Car accident, just here one day gone the next, and my dad he tried but he was drowning, we both were, then he met your mom and it was like someone had thrown us a lifeline. Suddenly there was laughter again, family dinners, Christmas mornings that didn't ache. He looked at me. You were part of that saving, Ethan, you and Maria, you gave us a reason to smile again. Tears burned my eyes, Lucas. So when he says this changes everything, I understand. Because you and your mom, you're the good thing that happened after the worst thing, and now I'm risking that, we're risking that. Do you regret it? My voice was barely a whisper. Us. No, he kissed my forehead, not for a second, but I understand his fear because I'm scared too, scared we're breaking something beautiful for something uncertain. It doesn't feel uncertain to me, I said, you're the most certain thing in my life. Lucas pulled me closer. How did I get so lucky? We both got lucky, even if it's hard. Especially because it's hard, he corrected. Nothing worth having comes easy, right? We returned home on a Sunday evening to find Mom and David waiting on the porch. My stomach dropped. They're here to tell us it's over, I whispered as we parked. Or they're ready to talk, Lucas countered, but his voice was uncertain. We approached together, hands almost touching, and David stood as we reached the steps. We need to talk, he said, all of us inside. The living room felt too small for the four of us and all our complicated history. Mom gestured for us to sit, then settled beside David, their hands linked. I took that as a good sign. We've been doing a lot of thinking, Mom began, and talking to each other to a therapist. A therapist, Lucas interrupted. A family counselor, David clarified, because this affects all of us and we needed help processing it. He took a breath. Look, I'm not going to lie and say I'm completely comfortable with this, I'm not, but Dr. Morrison helped me understand some things. Like what? I asked. Like the fact that my discomfort is about my expectations, not your reality. I had a picture in my head of how our family would look and you've shattered that picture, but that doesn't mean what you're building instead is wrong. Lucas and I exchanged glances. Mom spoke next. When David and I first got together, people judged us, said it was too soon, that we were rushing, that it would never last. And we had to decide, did we care more about other people's opinions or our own happiness? We chose happiness, David continued, and now you're asking us to let you do the same. It's just harder when it's your kids. Because you want to protect us, I said. Exactly, Mom's eyes were teary. But you're right, you're adults and you've clearly thought about this, so we can either support you or lose you, and we don't want to lose you. Does this mean? Lucas couldn't finish the sentence. David stood, crossing to Lucas. It means I'm sorry for how I reacted, for making you feel like you had to choose. You're my son, Lucas, nothing changes that, not this, not anything. Lucas crumbled. I watched my strong, steady Lucas break down as he hugged his father, years of fear and tension releasing in great, shaking sobs. David held him tight, whispering things I couldn't hear but could guess, apologies and promises and love. Mom reached for me and I went to her, letting her hold me like I was 7 years old again, and the world made sense. I'm still processing, she said into my hair, but I love you. And if Lucas makes you happy. He does, Mom, he really does. Then that's what matters. The Brew Haven opened in early September, transformed and beautiful. Lucas's design had created something magical, exposed brick and natural light, the reading nook I'd imagined, menu descriptions I'd written that made people smile. Our families came to the opening together, all of us. Mom and David chatting with the owner, Lucas showing his dad the architectural details, me laughing with both of them over the ridiculous names I'd given the specialty drinks. This is nice, Lucas said, finding me by the new bookshelf in the reading nook, all of us together. It is, I leaned against him, not hiding it, not pulling away when David glanced over. He smiled, small, tentative but genuine, and returned to his conversation. I have something for you, Lucas said, pulling an envelope from his jacket. Open it. Inside was a key. What's this? To my apartment, our apartment if you want it to be. He was nervous, I could see it in the way he shifted his weight. I know you're applying to grad schools and some of them are far away, but I was thinking maybe we could have a home base, together, and wherever you go I could visit or maybe even relocate if the program is long enough. And I kissed him to shut him up right there in front of everyone. When I pulled back, people were staring, Mom and David, the cafe owner, random customers. I didn't care. Yes, I said, yes to all of it. Lucas's smile could have lit the entire cafe. He kissed me again, softer this time, and somewhere behind us I heard Mom sigh, the good kind, the kind that meant she was seeing her son happy. That night, after the celebration died down and the cafe closed its doors on a successful first day, the four of us ended up back at the family house. It felt right somehow to be in the kitchen where so much had started. Mom made her coffee cake, the same one from that first day I'd come home, and we sat around the table talking and laughing like we'd done 100 times before. But this time was different. This time Lucas sat beside me instead of across from me, his hand resting on my thigh under the table. This time when David told a terrible joke and we all groaned, Lucas kissed my temple without thinking and no one flinched. So, David said, cutting himself another slice of cake, have you thought about how you'll handle the extended family? Your grandmother, Lucas, she's going to have opinions. Lucas groaned, don't remind me. And my sister, Mom added, Karen's going to ask a million questions. We'll handle it, I said, together like we handle everything now. Together, Lucas echoed, squeezing my hand. Mom raised her coffee mug, to new beginnings and to love however it finds us. We clinked our mugs together, coffee and tea and milk for Lucas, who'd never liked coffee despite designing a coffee shop, and for the first time in months, everything felt right. Not perfect maybe, not without complications, but right. The leaves turned gold and crimson and I moved into Lucas's apartment with 2 suitcases and a box of books. Our apartment, I corrected myself every time I thought it, our home. We fell into rhythms. Lucas would wake early for work, kissing me goodbye while I was still half asleep. I'd spend mornings writing at the cafe, our cafe in a way, since we'd both helped create it, and afternoons revising my manuscript. Evenings were for cooking disasters and movie marathons and conversations that stretched long into the night. What are you working on? Lucas asked one October evening, peering over my shoulder at my laptop. A new story about 2 people who find each other in unexpected ways. Sounds familiar, he kissed the top of my head. Can I read it when it's done? You can read it now if you want, you're my first reader, always. He settled beside me on the couch, pulling my laptop onto his lap, and I watched his face as he read. The way his brows drew together when he concentrated, the small smile when he liked a particular line, the emotion in his eyes when he reached the ending. Ethan, he said softly, this is beautiful. Yes. Yeah, you're so talented. These characters, they feel real, like I know them. You should, they're us, kind of. He looked at me, something shifting in his expression. Are we your happy ending? We're my happy beginning, I corrected. The story's not over yet. I got into grad school, 3 programs accepted me, in fact. The hardest decision was choosing between a prestigious program in California and a smaller one only an hour away. Take California, Lucas said when I agonized over it. It's the best program, you'd be crazy not to. But that's 3 years, Lucas, 3 years across the country. So I'll visit a lot and you'll come home for breaks, we'll make it work. You'd really be okay with that? He cupped my face. Ethan, I want you to have everything you've ever dreamed of. If that means a few years of distance, then we'll figure it out. We've gotten good at figuring things out. But in the end, I chose the local program, not because I was afraid of distance, but because I realized my dream wasn't just about writing anymore. It was about building a life with Lucas, and I could do that while also pursuing my education. Are you sure? He asked when I told him, I don't want you to resent me later. I'm sure the program is still great and I'll be able to come home every night to you. That matters more than prestige. He kissed me like I'd given him the world. That first Christmas as an official couple was surreal. We went to David and Mom's for dinner, and this time when Lucas pulled me under the mistletoe Mom had hung in the doorway, she actually took a picture. For the family album, she said, beaming. Lucas's grandmother did in fact have opinions. She cornered us at the family gathering, her sharp eyes missing nothing. "So you're the boyfriend," she said to me. "Yes, ma'am. And you make my grandson happy." "I try to." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "Good, that's all that matters, though I still think it's strange you two growing up together and all, but who am I to judge? I married my brother's best friend back in the day, caused quite the scandal." Lucas laughed. "You never told me that." "You never asked," she patted his cheek. "Love is love, sweetheart, don't let anyone tell you different." But it wasn't all easy. There were still people who didn't understand, who whispered behind their hands at family events or made uncomfortable jokes. Lucas's ex-boyfriend showed up at a party once, drunk and bitter, shouting about how Lucas had traded him for his brother. "He's not my brother," Lucas said firmly, his arm around me, "and this conversation is over." I had moments of doubt too. Late nights when I'd wonder if we'd rushed into this, if the intensity of our feelings was sustainable, if we were making a mistake that would cost us both our families. "Talk to me," Lucas said one night, finding me on our small balcony staring at the city lights. "I can tell something's bothering you." "Do you ever think about what life would be like if we'd never gotten together?" I asked. "If we just stayed stepbrothers, kept things simple?" He was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, no, because a life without this, without you, doesn't feel like living, it feels like existing. But we've complicated everything, our families, our futures." "Ethan," he turned me to face him. "Yes, we've complicated things, but we've also made them infinitely better, at least for me. Do you feel differently?" "No," I admitted. "I just get scared sometimes, that I'm not enough, that you'll wake up one day and realize you gave up a normal life for this mess. You are enough, more than enough, and this mess, it's my favorite mess, it's us." He kissed me then, and I let myself believe him. My first year of grad school was brutal, long hours, intense workshops, constant criticism of my work. But Lucas was there through all of it, reading drafts at midnight, bringing me coffee when I forgot to eat, reminding me why I'd wanted this in the first place. "You're going to be amazing," he said after a particularly harsh workshop session left me in tears. "They're being hard on you because you have talent, because you're worth pushing. Or maybe I'm just not cut out for this." "You are, Ethan. I've read your work. I've seen how you make words come alive, how you make people feel things. Don't let one bad day erase what you know." I looked at him, this man who'd chosen me, who supported me, who loved me even when I was difficult and doubtful and struggling. "I love you," I said. "I don't say it enough, but I do, so much." "I know, and I love you too, even when you're being dramatic about your writing." I threw a pillow at him and he caught it, laughing, and suddenly everything felt manageable again. 2 years passed, then 3. My grad program ended with a completed thesis, a novel about family and love and the spaces in between that my advisor called stunning and heartbreaking and real. Lucas's architecture firm made him a partner. We moved into a bigger apartment with actual office space for both of us. We adopted a cat named Hemingway who hated everyone except Lucas. And slowly, imperceptibly, we stopped being the stepbrothers who are dadding and just became Lucas and Ethan. A couple, partners, home. "I got a call today," I said one spring evening. We were cooking dinner together, pasta, because it was one of the few things we could make without burning, and Lucas was attempting to dice tomatoes. "Yeah, about what?" "My manuscript, an agent wants to represent it." The knife clattered to the cutting board. "What, Ethan, that's amazing." "I know, I can't believe it. 3 years of work and Lucas, what are you doing?" He'd pulled out his phone, texting rapidly, telling everyone, Mom, Dad, my colleagues. "Lucas. What, this is huge, you're going to be a published author." "Maybe, there's still a long way to go." "You will be, I know it." He kissed me, tasting like tomatoes and happiness. "I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you." "Sure you could have, but I'm glad I got to be here for it." The publishing process took another year, revisions and more revisions, cover designs and marketing plans. The day I held the physical book in my hands, Lucas took me back to the brew haven. Why here? I asked. You'll see. Inside, the cafe had been transformed. Streamers and balloons, a table full of cupcakes, and everyone Mom, David, my grad school friends, Lucas's work colleagues crowded into the space, cheering. Surprise, Lucas said, your book launch party. I was speechless. Mom hugged me, tears streaming down her face. David clapped me on the shoulder, pride evident in his eyes. My advisor gave a short speech about my talent, and through it all, Lucas stood beside me, his hand in mine, exactly where he belonged. Later, after the party wound down and we were walking home through the warm summer night, Lucas stopped suddenly. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small box, and my heart stopped. Everything's actually perfect, which is why I want to ask you something. Lucas. Let me finish. He smiled, nervous and excited and beautiful. Ethan, 4 years ago you came home for the summer and turned my entire world upside down. You made me braver, made me believe that love doesn't have to look like everyone else's to be real. And every day since, you've proven that choosing you was the best decision I ever made. He opened the box. Inside were 2 simple silver bands. I know we can't legally get married in a lot of places, and I know our situation is complicated, but I want everyone to know that you're mine and I'm yours. So, Ethan Marshall, will you marry me? I was crying, laughing, pulling him close. Yes, yes, obviously yes. He slipped the ring on my finger and I slipped its match on his, and we kissed in the middle of the sidewalk while the city moved around us, indifferent to our joy but unable to diminish it. The kitchen smells like cinnamon and vanilla, Mom's coffee cake baking in our oven now. Lucas and I bought a house last year, a small craftsman with good bones and a big backyard for Hemingway to terrorize local wildlife. I'm sitting at our kitchen table working on my 3rd novel when Lucas comes up behind me, wrapping his arms around my shoulders. How's the writing going? He asks. Good, this one's different, lighter, a romance actually. Yeah, what's it about? 2 people who find each other in a coffee shop. Their story isn't perfect, but it's theirs. He kisses the top of my head. Sounds like a bestseller to me. The doorbell rings. Mom and David arriving for Sunday dinner. It's become a tradition, these weekly gatherings. Sometimes Lucas's grandmother joins us. Sometimes my grad school friends. Always there's laughter and good food and the comfortable chaos of family. Boys, Mom calls. We brought wine. Lucas takes my hand, pulling me up from the table. We walk to the door together, wedding rings catching the light, Hemingway weaving between our legs. This life we've built, complicated and unconventional and absolutely ours, stretches ahead of us. There will be challenges, I know, there always are, but we've proven we can handle them. Together. Always together.